Welcome to Tarot Thursday. I am Reverend Mary Hawk, and with me is my guest, Reverend Don Lewis.
Hello, everyone.
And thank you for joining me this evening.
I'm always happy to make an emergency tarot stop.
Yes, he's pinch hitting because my scheduled guest had an emergency and could not make it. So we'll get Tara back with us some other time.
Yeah.
So, and how are you this evening?
I'm good.
That's good. And welcome to everyone watching. Please say hi in the chat room. We'd love to hear from you. And if you would like a reading, please go ahead and post your questions. As you can see, I'm in my office in the new place, and it's slowly coming together. And Renee says, Lord Don, what a pleasant surprise. And
Hello,
hello
Renee.
to Raven. Okay, and Raven wants to know if they will get a new home soon. And then Renee would like a general reading. All righty, so we'll take care of Raven's question first.
Yes.
I am doing well, Raven. Thank you for asking.
Yes, indeed. Me too.
Okay, Renee. Well, I've got a lot of space energy here for you. So the first one I have is the Ace of Pentacles. Pentacles are around the material realm. So this says you're going to me is saying you will have the resources. And then we've got the Ace of Wands. And this is about manifestation. And then finally, we've got the Princess of Cups, which is saying to me that you're very emotional about this issue as well. So, taken all together, I'm going to say you have the financial resources you need to get a new home. You have the ability to manifest it. And use your emotional connection here to fuel that, but don't let your emotions get out of control in this situation. Use that to fuel your manifestation.
Now I shall go. And our first card is the High Priestess. The High Priestess is spiritual guidance. So it says, as you deal with this situation, make sure you stay in touch with your spiritual guidance, whether that's your patron deity, your spirit guides, your higher self. Wherever you go to for spiritual guidance, stay in touch with it, as it will be of great help to you in this. The Four of Swords, it says that there will be a bit of a waiting period. And then our third card is the Five of Swords from a completely different part of the deck, which is saying you may not feel entirely, Well, there was a mention of emotion involved in the situation. You may not feel entirely happy with all of the details in this situation. Let's draw 3 more for you. Because, of course. We have the Knight of Coins. Or not the Knight of Coins, the 4 of Coins, beg your pardon. We have the Ace of Swords. And we have the 7 of Wands. So, the 4 of Coins says that you may tend to help hold yourself back in certain places in dealing with this situation, presumably because of the emotion connected with it. But you have complete ability to make a good decision regarding it if you listen to your higher self. And the 7 of Wands says that you absolutely can do it in a relatively quick point of time, but it involves work. So be aware there's work there. Be aware there's emotion there. And I would question whether you actually want to move to a new home or whether it's something that simply needs to happen. Or I have a friend who's having this same situation. Raven says emotions may hold me back. That's what I'm seeing. But I have a friend dealing with the same situation. She wants to move, but she doesn't want to leave her old house. Raven says, yes, it needs to happen. So what I would say is maybe work on cutting your ties to where you currently are, your psychic emotional ties, and see if that doesn't help you to move forward a little faster. But it does look to me like, yes, you could do it quite quickly. You just have to stay very much in touch with your higher self and stay focused. And Raven says it's very stressful here. Yes, I see that in these cards. Let me draw one more for you, because it's not a 3-card reading if we don't draw at least 9 cards.
Exactly. 3 squares.
Exactly. We've drawn the King of Wands, and the King of Wands is feeling passion about a situation. And what you really want to do is put your passion into making this change. Deal with whatever emotions may be tending to hold you back, and put your passion into the future. And I think you'll find things move much, much faster then. And there we go.
All right. And hello to Tiffany, Lynn, and Brian. Brian, we've got another reading ahead of you, but we certainly will do a reading on your situation.
Yes, indeed.
And Renee wants to see if the rough period since her last reading is over with.
Well, the new moon. In the morning, Mercury will go direct, I believe. So reasons to feel good. We'll see what the cards say.
Yes.
I feel good about
it. And I'm only chuckling about Mercury going retrograde because someone very close to me has experienced significant communication issues with their significant other.
Oh my. So I go forward this time first.
Yes.
So let's draw 3 cards for Renee.
And change.
3-card, probably 9-card reading. First card is the Fool. Again, stay in touch with your spiritual self. Let your spiritual self drive you. Queen of Swords, learning from past experiences. Ace of Wands, passion, energy. Let's draw 3 more. We have the Princess of Coins, which is being ready, but still tending to hold yourself back a little bit. The Empress, which is prosperity and good things. And the Lovers, which says, there will be a choice in how you go forward from this. But looking at all of them together, I would say, yes, the rough spot probably has ended. You need to stay in touch with your spirituality, let it move you forward, be ready to move forward. And it looks very good, especially the Empress card.
All right, and I will pull 3 here. So my first card is the 9 of Wands, which is not as dire as Reverend John drew it. It doesn't mean you're going to prison, but it does mean the situation is waiting to be resolved. And then I've got the Prince of Swords. So we've got a lot of airy and fiery energy about you now. A lot of movement. And then finally, the Queen of Lamps. And Lamps is the suit of the spirit and spiritual development in this deck, with the Queen being very close to complete fulfillment. So, yes, things are improving for you. And if you're feeling a little stuck right now, as the 9 of Wands is indicating, just relax, because when the Prince of Swords takes over, you're going to hit the gas and pop the gear.
Very good.
Okay. And I hope that is helpful. And hello to Melanie, and hello to Magical Mermaid.
Hello, hello.
And let's see. Brian's question. Can I get a reading? The question is, what more can I do to convince my client that we need him to get his apartment clean?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
That's
Okay.
an interesting question. And here is the rub, Brian. We can read on, is there anything else you can do? But, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So you may have already done everything in your power as a social worker already. But let's see what the cards say.
I love the fact you can actually see me shuffle from this particular angle. I always used to
Yeah.
feel guilty because people couldn't see me shuffling the cards, and I always thought they wondered. I'm sure they didn't really.
Yeah, I'll hold them up where you can see it. I'm going to get ambitious and set up 2 cameras so people can see me shuffle.
Very cool.
All right, am I going first?
Sure. Why disrupt a tradition?
All right, so the first card I've got is the 4 of Pentacles. And this is generally considered as showing someone who's doing well and is able to share. Then we've got the 3 of Cups, which is normally considered a celebration. And finally, we've got the 5 of Lamps, which is showing Lady Choquette preparing to set out on a vision quest. And fitting them into your question, Brian, I'm reading this as you have done the best you can, and you really need to leave this with the universe at this point. Your client is going to do what your client is going to do.
Why do I have the feeling we're talking about an episode of Hoarders? But anyway.
The next thing on my mind to say is, short of showing up with a roll of garbage bags and a shovel, you've probably done all you can.
Yeah. Brian says, because we are. So my first card is the Fool. And my second card is the Four of Cups. And my third card is the Hanged Man. So the Fool, I'm going to kind of take the Fool. The Fool is listening to spiritual guidance. In a question like this, I'm kind of thinking that this may also be saying that the situation may have a higher spiritual purpose than is immediately apparent. Even though it doesn't look good, it may be serving some karmic role. But talk to your higher self, talk to your guides, however you deal with your higher self, and see what it has to say. Now we have the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups is a good situation overall, but not everything you want it to be, which considering the question, I'm inclined to say again, is that you have done what you could do, and it hasn't been enough to get what you want, but it was everything you could do. And then we have the Hanged Man. Still getting used to the new webcam. I have to make sure everything is in the right place. The Hanged Man is waiting. And waiting is not cleaning. Waiting is waiting. So I'm inclined to say the situation is likely to stay the same. But let's draw three more because, of course, we will. We've drawn the Princess of Swords, the Queen of Swords from a completely different part of this deck, and the Queen of Wands. So the Princess of Swords is careful communication. And it says that in working with this person, be as diplomatic as you can be. Brian says in the chat room, he does listen to me and we have a good working relationship. It's just this one area. And yes, he is waiting and he's 96 years old. I can see why. I'm not entirely sure at 96 there's a lot that one can do, but I suppose it depends on your 96. The Queen of Swords is learning from past experience, which inclines to say you're probably not going to see a lot of change. The Queen of Wands, however, is prosperity. I don't see disaster coming, but then I don't know if that's for Brian or for the client. Let's draw one more for the client. No, I get the King of Pentacles. So for better or worse, I don't see it going to disaster, but if you ask me what you can do, my main answer is talk to your higher self, continue talking to the person, and realize that it is what it is. You can't make this decision for him. In the chat room, Magical Mermaid says the concept of beating a dead horse comes to mind. This might be along that same situation. That you've done what you can do.
The only other idea I've got is, can you get a much older person than you on the team.
That might help. One of the things about hoarding is that it has to do a lot with emotional connection. And it has to do, I think, with loss of relationships early in life. A lot of times people try to hold on to things when they've not been able to hold on to people. So I'm inclined to say, you might try it from that point of view, that holding on to all these things is not necessary to hold on to the good memories. But I am inclined to think that that's what probably is causing the problem. And who do we have next?
All right, let's scroll back up here.
And we certainly wish the best for your client.
Definitely.
And for you.
Okay. And
And
Denise
Brian
says,
says,
blessed be.
before we go there, Brian says, thank you both. He's just who he is. And we're just in a stalemate. And that's, I think, what we both saw.
Yes. And okay, and somehow I have invoked Restream help, and it's in the middle of my screen, and I'm trying to get rid of it.
Alrighty then.
Okay, because it is totally covering chat. I can't see the messages.
I'm going back through myself. I think I see what the next reading is. I'm just trying to make sure there's not one above it.
Okay, how did I open help and how do I make it go away?
So Melanie has a question. What can I do to better my chances of employment?
There we go.
Okay.
It went away. All right. So how does Melanie better her chances of employment? And Michael, I see your comment. Are you asking us if you are making a good move, or is that just a comment? If you could post that at the answer while we do a reading for Melanie, please. And also in scrolling through, I will just share that I missed Brian's comment on the situation of flowers do not belong in the toilet.
Unless you're Salvador Dali, this is true. I'm not quite sure what it refers to, but it's certainly true. So I believe that I go first this time.
You do.
So my first card is the Six of Coins, which is being generous and helping others. What that exactly has to do with employment, other cards will hopefully tell us, but it says begin by being very open, very generous, and involving yourself in situations with other people. With it, we have the Seven of Coins from a totally different part of the deck. And the Seven of Coins is considering your future. So part of the answer to this question is also what kind of employment are you looking for? And have you really decided yet? And then the third card is magic. And so what you really need to do to increase your chances of employment is magic. Just what the card says. It's the ability to work your will. You know magic, you know how to use it in this situation. Once you're clear on what you want, make sure you're clear on what you want, and then go out into the world and get it. And I should leave well enough alone with that, but will I?
We know you won't.
So we have the Five of Lamps, and the Five of Lamps is really looking for meaning, looking for answers. So there's more involved than just employment. The Hierophant, which is listening to spiritual guidance, and the Queen of Coins, which is money. I don't think they add anything to this question. I could have just left everything where it was, but they do say that while you might think you're looking just for employment, it's going to have a spiritual effect on you as well. So be aware of that. But the basic answer I get is use the magical knowledge you've got. And that's what I have for you.
So the first card I've got is the Universe, and it doesn't translate well, but we're actually looking at a star field, not a plain black card. So that says you have the ability to manifest what you want in this situation. And then I've had these two cards come up recently, but I shuffled. I have got the Nine of Wands and the Prince of Swords. And they're kind of opposites. The Nine of Wands is a period of waiting, and the Prince of Swords is things moving quickly. So, things may not move very fast at first, and then they're going to move quickly, or things may seem to be moving quickly. Maybe you will get an interview quickly, and then it seems like things don't move very quickly. But you have the ability to manifest what you want in this situation. So use your magical ability, and remember, you can't cast a spell to get a job and then work on that for 20 minutes a day and then spend 23 hours and 30 minutes saying I will never get a job. You have to hold that intention even when you're not actively working on the spell. So, Melanie, I hope that is helpful. Okay. All right. And Michael has clarified he wants to know if the move is a good move as far as his growth.
Okay.
I'll tell you this, Michael. I have a couple of good friends who live in Michigan. You positive you want to trade Florida for snow up to your armpits?
Which of us is going first this time?
Yeah, no, I go first this time.
Okay.
Okay, Michael, so we start out with the Ace of Pentacles. So this means things are going to work well for you on the material plane. And then we've got Fortune. So this means that you are going to get what is sometimes just referred to as good luck. But fortune is going to be working for you as you work through this move. And then finally, I've got the Hermit. So this means you need to be listening to yourself on this. You know best what to do. So if you've decided that this is the best course of action, then you need to go through with that, even though there may be other people who are telling you not to do so.
Are we ready for me?
Ready for you and your 30 cards.
Our first card is the Three of Swords. And this stands to reason when we're talking about a move. It will make some disruption in relationships. Obviously, the people you're used to having physically around you, many of them will not be, who are not part of your household, because you'll be in a very different part of the country. Ten of Cups says you'll be happy with it. And your household will be happy with it. And the Four of Coins, which we've seen earlier this evening, says you may incline to hold yourself back, but you should throw yourself in, particularly in terms of helping others, of getting involved in things. Be enthusiastic. And is this good for your spiritual growth? Well, our first card is the Eight of Swords, which may make you feel a little held in by your experience. And it may feel like it takes a while to get back on that spiritual path, which is kind of normal with a move. Having recently made one, I can tell you. King of Swords, the ability to make good judgments, and it's saying, take your time. Don't feel like you have to immediately get back into your path. Five of Cups, you may initially feel that it has not been good for your spiritual growth, but let's draw some more. So we have the Prince of Wands, and the Prince of Wands says you have to be careful not to dissipate your energy. The Prince of Swords, which says be selfish, make sure you know what you want. If you want to work on your spiritual growth, do not be drawn off of it. And the Two of Wands, which says in some ways it's going to be new. It's going to bring in new situations, and that's okay. So what I'm seeing with this is that at first you may feel, if you allow it to draw you off your course, you may feel that it has done so. But if you stay focused and keep yourself on your course, you'll be just fine. But it is going to be necessary. And anytime you make a major move, that's always going to be an issue. So work on keeping yourself focused spiritually, and I think you'll be okay. And there we go.
Okay. And yes, Melanie, you need to quit second guessing yourself. And I think this was from Melanie. Magical Mermaid says, recite a mantra 77 times for 7 days might help. Will says, hello, good blessings to you, and the same to you, Will.
Absolutely.
And Avi, I hope I'm saying that right, wants a reading for how does my crush truly feel about me, and will things work out between us?
Okay.
Kai says, draw some more. There's always more. Hee hee. And let's see. After Avi, Will has asked for a reading. Is reconciliation for my situation possible? And Kai says she would love a general reading with 1,000,001 cards from Lord Don if you're taking requests.
I'm only the guest. You must make that decision.
So we can read about AV. And I sense, I'm not sure I can pick up on the energy about how your crush feels about you, but I can certainly pick up on the energy about how this situation will work out. Although, did Brian and I read about this for you last week, Avi? Maybe? Anyway, we will give it a shot.
Which of us is going first this time?
I believe it's you.
Okay. So my first card is the 6 of coins. And with that, we have the 9 of coins. And the Tower. And I'm going to draw a 4th one because, of course, I would. 7 of Pentacles. So what I would be inclined to say is that firstly, this person feels good toward you, wants to be of help toward you, feels beneficial toward you. They also feel very confident in their own position, and in fact are strong in their own position. And the Tower says this will bring a lot of change, or maybe just that they're experiencing a lot of change as things go forward, but maybe both of you experiencing that change. And then we drew the, pardon me for a moment.
We have a jumper.
Yeah. And we drew and they're all jumping, which says there's a lot of emotion involved in the situation. But we drew the 7 of coins, and the 7 of coins says that there's a lot of consideration toward the future on this person's part. And I don't know that they know necessarily what they want. So do be aware of that. But the basic emotions are positive. None is especially romantic, which doesn't mean that might not be there, but it's not the main energies that we're seeing. The energies we're seeing are compassion, good positive emotions. Let's draw one more. We've drawn the soul. And the soul is moving forward from your spiritual self. So I want to say that this person, whoever they are, they're having a bit of a spiritual awakening now or in the immediate future. And, in some ways, they may not really know how they feel about a lot of things until that has taken place. And that's the main thing I would say for it.
All right. So the first card I get is the 10 of Wands. And this is about a situation that is winding up to a close. So something is ending for you or for him. And then I got the Tower too.
Mm-hmm.
So that means one or both of you is about to experience some radical life-changing events.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, I've got the 5 of Cups, which usually means there's some emotional loss. or things are not going to work out the way you want them to emotionally. And I'm going to be the one to draw one more card now. And I've got
Be
the
careful, it's
star.
catchy.
Well, if we both draw 9 cards, we won't do very many readings in an hour. But with the stars, this is talking about looking to your higher self for guidance in this situation, AV. And so there's more going on than just your feelings for your crush. There's a lot more going on with both of you here, is my sense. And I think you both have some things to work through before you could develop a relationship if that is what is going to happen.
So Magical Mermaid says in the chat room, no more than 78 card requests, please.
Yes.
Well, actually, the Tarot of Hecate has 100 cards. Guess who designed it?
Yes, he did design a 100-card deck. And now Will is asking, is reconciliation for my situation possible?
Okay.
So we can draw cards on that. All right, I shuffled these cards. I am prefacing this by saying it because the first thing I've got is an emotional loss. So that's clearly speaking, we got the 5 of Cups. So that's speaking about your situation. Then I've got the stars. And this is talking about reaching out to your higher self, your guides, and determining what do you actually want in this situation. You ask, is reconciliation possible? And you need to determine, is that truly what you want in the situation that you are in? Because sometimes, no matter how much you care about someone, trust can be broken to the point you can't be reconciled. And then finally, I've got the 6 of Wands, which is showing that you will get what you truly want in the situation. But first, you need to determine what it is you truly want.
Isn't that always the way? So, my first card is the Prince of Lamps. The Prince of Lamps represents asceticism. In a question like this, it's saying, is reconciliation possible? Well, if you put aside the things you need, maybe. Don't do that. Pay attention to what you need, but you can see the man in the drawing is wrapped in barbed wire and piercing his tongue, which the barbed wire is borrowed from Europe, but the tongue is a traditional Mayan custom. And it's a matter of bodily mortification. So I would be inclined to say that the first aspect of this is that there may be a desire to let go of the things that you really want and need, and you don't want to do that. With that, we have temperance, which is making new things out of old things. And the Five of Lamps, which is looking for new answers, new beginnings, explanations. Taking them together, and bearing in mind I will draw more than 3 cards. But I'm inclined to say that to have reconciliation here, you must make sure that you are not betraying yourself, and you're going to have to look for some new ways of pursuing it. Things you've done in the past are not going to work. Things you might be thinking of may not work. You need to look for a way to really renew the situation in a way that's more favorable to you. Now, let's draw 3 more. And we have 7 of Cups, the Emperor, and the King of Wands. The 7 of Cups says, there's a lot of illusion involved in this situation. Try to take a step back from it and look at it a little more realistically in terms of making your decisions and deciding how to move forward. The Emperor, to me, is cycles. So, yeah, I'm not going to say it's not impossible. I'm just adding these caveats that make it possible. And that is that you cannot just repeat the past. You have to actually make a new future. And finally, we have the King of Wands, and the King of Wands is passion. So, you know, you may make the effort to do that simply because you still have a lot of passion here. But I have a recommendation for you, and that is that you go through and cut the energetic cords between yourself and this situation. I'm not necessarily assuming this is a romantic situation. It could be, but there are other things that could require reconciliation also. When you cut cords that way, you're not preventing the situation from moving forward. You're preventing old patterns from repeating themselves. So the way you do that, you imagine them like a beam of white light. You imagine something like a knife, you cut it, you cauterize it, you let it go. That would be my advice for how to look at it in a more holistic way. And that's what I got for you.
So, well, I hope you are finding that helpful.
And do not give up what you need.
Avi, I'm glad that was useful for you.
Oh, good.
And now we're up to Kai's general reading with 1,000,001 cards from Lord Don. But I'm going to pull 3 for you too, Kai.
I don't really have 1,000,001 cards.
No, but you do have 100, but we've only got 12 minutes left, so.
Yeah.
If you could not pull 100, that would be best in the interest of time.
Ah, yes. I have done that kind of reading. I see you're very surprised. And I believe that I go first this time.
You do.
So our very first card is the Future card. Always appropriate for a psychic reading. And this is the Winged Man. The Winged Man could be Daedalus, could be Icarus. It doesn't show yet. But the message of this card is to try to be Daedalus, not Icarus. Do not allow ambition to cause you to do something you know you should not do. Instead, listen to your practicality. For those people who are not familiar with the story of Daedalus and Icarus, they were imprisoned on the labyrinth in Crete. And the father, Daedalus, was a noted inventor. He had built the labyrinth, and he made these wings for them to fly off the island with. He warned his son, Icarus, do not fly too close to the sun in the sky, as it will melt the wax. But Icarus got all enthusiastic, and he flew too close to the sun, and he drowned in the Aegean Sea. Whereas Daedalus, who did not do that, survived with no problem. So it's saying, pay attention to practicality. With it is happiness, the Queen of Cups. I would say in general, this should be a happy time for you. I don't know that I need to add anything to that. And the Ace of Lamps. And the Ace of Lamps is, again, spiritual guidance. Make sure you're listening to your spiritual guidance. Make sure you're open to your spiritual guidance. It will be of help to you. And since we were asked for 1,000,001 cards, we'll do a few more. We have the Hermit. The Hermit, to me, is the archetypal New Age witch or shaman. Or to put it another way, it's a person who has the skills that they need to do what they want. We have the Heart, and the Heart says make sure you're listening to your heart, make sure you're listening to your emotions. And we have Magic. And magic, as we've said before in the program, is exactly what it means. It can be different sometimes in different readings, but here it means use your magic to pursue your goals. Generally speaking, I'd say it's a very positive reading. And there you go.
Okay, Kai, I'm going to pull 3 cards for you. Okay, so the first thing I've got for you is the Chariot. So this is talking about moving forward towards your goals. And then I've got the Prince of Pentacles. And so this is talking about getting your finance or your material resources in order as you're working on your goals. And then finally, we have the Queen of Wands, and this is around passion. And, you know, you and I talked a little bit while we were at the Parliament about what you really want to be doing. So I'm just going to say put that passion behind it and really start working on what we were talking about.
Very cool.
All right. And then Robin Shapiro says, new here and any messages, please. So,
Okay.
and that is our last request. And since we are at 9:53, I think we are going to close with a reading for Robin.
Very good.
And I've somehow shifted so now everyone can see all my boxes. But hey, I just moved. I got boxes and boxes.
It's been a year for a lot of moving.
It has been.
And Kai says, thank you, Lord Don. Mary, your reading has helped a lot with something I was really thinking about. That's wonderful.
I'm glad to hear that, Kai. Okay, and okay. And we've talked about this phenomenon before, but we tend to be drawing the same cards.
You do
So
have
the
that habit.
first card I've got is the future. And Reverend Don was just talking about that. So I'll just say proceed with reasonable caution. Don't fly too close to the sun so your wax doesn't melt off your feathers. On the other hand, don't freeze and be afraid to act either.
It's always so
And
sad when the wax melts off your feathers.
I'm sorry?
It's always so sad when the wax melts off your feathers.
It really is, and it would be fatal whether you were over land or sea. Next card is the Hierophant, and let me get a little closer. This is drawn as Isis, but this card is about learning lessons. Whatever you are going through right now, there is a lesson. You are learning a life lesson at this point. And then I've got the Five of Swords. So you feel like you're in the middle of a battle right now. So I'm going to draw one more card.
See, I warned you it was catchy.
You know, I'm learning from the master. What can I say? So we've got the Prince of Wands. So don't scatter your energy. Stay focused on your goal.
Okay.
And now I'll give Reverend Don time to draw, 9, 10 cards.
The first one I've drawn is the Magician. The Magician says that you have the power to do whatever you want to do at present. Now, you may or may not know that, but you've got it. And if you find yourself dealing with lack of confidence, dealing with lack of certainty, stop and remind yourself of this reading. You do have what you need. With that, we have the Princess of Coins, which is tending to hold yourself back from doing certain things. So yes, you've got it, but you also may be holding yourself back from using it. And because this reading is just for general messages, they may not be referring to the same subjects. And then we have the universe. The universe is basically getting what you've wanted, getting what you've worked for, a very happy, positive outcome. So I'm inclined to say overall, these are very positive cards. I'm, of course, going to draw another one because and these show some of the things Mary was seeing also. So we have the Five of Swords, which is feeling maybe oppressed or overburdened by things that are happening. The Ten of Wands, which is waiting for things to happen rather than making them happen. And then the High Priestess, which is listening to your higher self. So what I'm inclined to say is if you find yourself feeling oppressed by what's happening, feeling like you'd like things to move faster, listen to your higher self. And you'll find that you can, at any point, you have the ability. You just have to use it. And that's what I got.
Okay. Hello to Selena and hello to TBA. We do not have time to do any more readings this evening. You can join me again next week for Tarot Thursday when Reverend Brian will be reading with me. And
And of
Reverend
course,
Don,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was going to say, if you find you want a full-length reading, I'm sure that you can contact either one of us for that.
Yes, and how does someone reach out to you?
Best thing is an email at donlewishp@aol.com or instant message me at Facebook or Instagram. And say what you're instant messaging me for, because they're full of trolls.
Yes.
But if I see the
You
word
can
reading,
also
I'll know that it's not a would-be Russian trophy wife or Nigerian prince.
You can also message me at Facebook or Instagram. Although if you start off with "Hi, beautiful," I'm totally going to ignore you.
Same basic message.
And could you say a prayer before we sign off?
Certainly. Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all that you do in our lives, and we ask you to bring us the answers that we need to all the things that we work with in our daily lives. Help us to have the advice that will benefit us. Help us to have the guidance, both from within and from without, that will be of benefit to us. Beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, we thank you. Beloved ancestors, we thank you. And knowing you are always with us, but from respect, we thank you for your presence, and may you be blessed now and always.
All right. And again, thank you for joining us, everyone. Have a lovely evening. And you can join Reverend Don tomorrow at noon Central for Midday with Reverend Don on Pagan World TV.
Yes, indeed. This
All
week
right.
we're talking about death and spirits.
And hauntings and all kinds of fun things.
Yes.
All right. Blessed be, everyone. Have a great evening.